Hi Year 7s. So today I'm just going to be talking about the CAT that you'll be doing for Humanities. And it's going to be on ancient Egypt, of course. And what you'll need to do is create a museum exhibit. Now this is the actual CAT that you'll receive, so it looks a bit like this. And it's got lots of information on it, so you may want to read through that. But what I've done, and there's the rubric there, what I've done is I've broken it up into a much easier way of looking at it. So this is what your CAT is going to be. So in this assessment task, you'll need to develop the following historical skills and knowledge. Ask and answer key research questions about significant aspects of ancient Egyptian society. Understand key concepts of ancient Egyptian society. Use historical sources as evidence to learn about ancient Egypt. And use and understand historical terms and concepts. So you should include the following terms in your project. So at some point when you're writing, you need to include these words. Alright, so it's very important that you include the ones that are highlighted there. So in your task, you are to design a guide to an exhibit, and I'm going to recommend a PowerPoint presentation. What I've done for you on that one is I've actually created a template, and we'll be going back and forth with that as well. So you need to have, an exhibit which includes social hierarchy, daily life, life on the Nile, religious beliefs, beliefs in the afterlife, and important people in ancient Egypt. And we'll fix that up first. Alright, so when you're doing this, you will have a PowerPoint which covers each of these aspects. And in the template I've provided, it actually gives you, so it tells you what to do. So social hierarchy, here are the questions you need to answer, and then it talks about an artifact. And then it goes into that, and then it goes into daily life, and you can see how it just, so it's already there. All you need to do is answer those questions. So we'll go back to the assignment. What you must have in your presentation. So in your presentation, you need to define the aspect you are doing. So you need to define about social hierarchy. So what is it? Explain briefly what the aspect was like in ancient Egypt. So in ancient Egypt, the hierarchy was, so what does it do? What you're actually explaining, what function did it have? And explain why this aspect is important to the society. So why is it important to have the king at the top and the slaves and the farmers at the bottom? You won't need to do this for daily life, but not the issue. In the second slide, so we'll go back to this one here. Like for life on the Nile, you'll notice that these are the three questions that we just looked at then. Then you have to have an artifact that has something to do with the Nile. So on one slide, you go through those three questions, and then on the second slide, you would go through these questions. We'll talk about those in a minute. So, you need to include an image of an artifact that has some relevance to the aspect of society. Now, one of your artifacts should be hand-drawn and labelled by you. So, 1 out of the 6 that you need to do should be hand-drawn. Try to pick an easy one because it's nice and easy. The remainder of your artifacts can be images you've copied from the internet, and you can have more than 2 artifacts for any topic if you like, but you still need to have at least 1 for each of the 6 different ones there. So, on the following slide, you will include a picture of your artifact, and then include questions about the artifact, which are going to be on the next slide, which is this one here. So each artifact must have the following questions answered. So when it was created or commonly used, a description of the artifact, and this is asking you to describe and define the artifact, how it was used. You need to identify the artifact as primary or secondary source. So this question is asking if it was created at the time, so then it's primary, or created after the time period, was it secondary? Information about where the artifact was originally found. For example, was this artifact an illustration or a carving in a temple? Was this an artifact found in a burial chamber? Was this artifact found in an archaeological dig? Was this artifact found on the banks of the Nile? So you go into detail about where it was found. You must justify why it should be in the exhibit. So why do you think that it's important that other people know it? Why is it relevant to the social aspect of society? So why do you think this artifact was important to the ancient Egyptians? And then the last one is comment on its significance in how we know and understand more about ancient Egypt. So what does it teach us? Or what does this artifact teach us about the ancient Egyptians? Then you'll have a research chart, and I'm not going to go into detail about how to do this. There is a video there, so if you click on that, it will actually tell you what you need to do for this particular task. At the end, so the last page of your presentation, before the bibliography, you're to summarise in 2 to 3 paragraphs the main things that you've learned or appreciated about ancient Egypt based on the artefacts and information you've researched and presented. Your bibliography is pretty much going to be your sources and where your information came from, and it should be structured like this. If you need further explanation, I've done a video for you right there. So in this section of the video, I'm going to be telling you what to do and what not to do for your Year 7 CAT. So this is what you shouldn't do. You'll notice that this is not actually one of the topics, it's just for an example, and Mr. Laidlaw has kindly done this for us. But you'll notice that in the first 3 questions, they're very brief. They've mentioned it, they've defined it, they've explained briefly what it was, what the aspect was like, and why it's important, but they haven't gone into detail. They've also got the artifact questions on the same page. It shouldn't be that way. You should have 1 slide for these questions and 1 slide for these questions. So the artifact in question is a picture of the pyramids, and then it's just pretty much a sentence: when they were built, a description, whether or not they're a primary source or secondary source, information about where it was found, and then these are significant. The reason why this isn't good is because it doesn't go into enough detail. Because it doesn't go into enough detail, you're not going to get, even the basic marks. You need to be able to put detail into it because you're not learning anything. So the next 2 slides are a better example of what you should do. The added information is added in coloured. Thank you. Is coloured yellow. By adding more detailed and relevant information, these slides would be at least standard. There's still more you could do. You could add more detail. You could add more artifacts, right? None of the information is copy and pasted, so it's all in your own words, right? You're reading through the information and you're putting it into your own words. This is what you are expected to do, right? This is not extra. This is what you are supposed to do. So, for the first 3 questions, so you'll notice that this was what was originally written, and then the yellow is what has been added to. Same with this one here. They've gone beyond why it was important, and they've added additional information. And this is what you should be doing with all your answers. And then the artifact. Right, so once again, you have the first 3 questions on the first slide, then you have another one on the second. Right, and this is about the artifact, so the picture. So you must have a picture of your artifact on this page, and it's not just a sentence answer. They've put, a couple of sentences for each, and that's what you should be doing. You can't just say they vary in size and made of stone. How big? What's the smallest? What's the largest? How many blocks does it usually contain? You need to add detail, right? Why is it a primary source and not a secondary source? So you're not just saying it is, you're saying it is because. So an artifact is a structure. This artifact is a structure that has stood for over 3,000 years and known to people all over the world. Where is it found? And that was something that was missed in the last question. Why are people drawn to it? Things like that. And why is it significant? And then this is the rubric. It is much easier to read on the actual CAT sheet there. So you'll get the CAT sheet as well as this PowerPoint. But you'll also get the template, which I provided there. And in this template, I've got an explanation. So you'll see this video. If you click on that, it'll go through introduction. It's got the questions already written in there for you. Right? Add pictures. Do what you need to do. Make it special. All I've done is just added a background. You need to make it your own. So everything's in there that you need to do. You just need to answer the questions about your artifact, about that task. So each of your artifacts should be about that actual aspect of society. So for religious beliefs, you might actually have a mummy or an amulet, or you might have a statue of a god. So you would have these, and you'd include a picture maybe on this side, and then you'll answer these questions. You'll also notice that I have, sorry, not that one. What have I learned? So this is that last PowerPoint question, and then the bibliography. And it's got the video there again on how to do one. You'll also notice that I've got little boxes at the top here that actually say where you could find this information, both in your textbooks and in the videos that I've given you previously. So you may want to have a look at those again just to rehash and make sure that you've got the right information. You can look online as well, I recommend it, but just in case. So that's what you need to do. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. It will be due in week 10 at some point, week 9, week 10, depending on when you start it. And I hope that's a little bit more helpful for you. Please make sure that you submit it on time. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.